Thank you. Wow, look at the people jumping on. Waiting room, waiting room. Okay. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Before we get started, I'd like to thank everybody on the call today. First of all, I'd like to thank Ms. Natasha Ismail, Regional Director, for joining us this morning. I'm trying to get this. All right, now I'd also like to thank Ms. Joyce Brewer. Thank you so much. Mr. Dave Carver, thank you so much. Miss Akiko over in Japan. Thank you so much for joining us in Japan. Mr. Brian Baker, Regional Director in Vegas. Thank you so much. Delilah out in Colorado, part of Bakery Organization. Thank you. Mr. Devon Templeton, thank you so much. Mr. Ismail, que paso, sir? Oh, Regional Director, Mr. Julian Lewis in San Diego. What a wonderful job he did. Oh my God, wonderful job he did on Tuesday and the previous Tuesday. Wow, we'll have him back real shortly. Mr. Harris Mills, thank you so much. Mr. Edmund Smith, thank you so much. Ms. Caroline Baker, part of the Bakery Organization. Mr. Peel, thank you so much, sir. Natalie in Vegas, thank you so much. Miss Diane Collins, there she is, out of Australia with their shrimp on the barbie, mate. Chase the Shaylas. All right, Miss Marie, thank you so much. Miss Melissa Vaughn, thank you so much. Mr. Sergio Mexico, thank you so much, sir. Oh, wow, Miss Darlene Evans, another regional director in South Carolina, thank you for joining us. Miss Castro down in the Arizona area, thank you. Tom, thank you so much. Let's see, oh, Marcia Carter just joined us, thank you so much. Mr. Jordan Say, there in Nashville, thank you so much. Miss Dominic Young, one of our favorite school teachers in Nashville, good morning, young lady. Another regional director, Miss Evelyn Phipps, out of Fresno, California, thank you so much. Mr. Daryl Ranson, out of Nashville, thank you so much. Mr. Harris Gaston, out of Nashville, thank you so much, and many more of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, we're going to play a quick video of my guest speaker, a dear friend of mine, colleague, and just an all-around great guy. Let's play that video, sir. Whenever you're ready, let's play that video, and then we'll come back and introduce our guest speaker for the day.
Hey, Jordan here, coming to you from beautiful Mount Charleston up here in the mountains of Nevada. The message I have for you today is not for everyone. It's not for the weak of heart. It's not for those of you that are trying the business or the hobbyists or those of you that are dabbling in the business. This message is for those people that want to achieve at the highest possible levels in the field of network marketing. So, you know, in the field of entertainment, there are a couple thousand people that make millions of dollars a year. And in professional athletics, there's a couple thousand people that make millions of dollars a year. And you know what? In our profession, it's no different. There are people that make millions in the field of network marketing. There are six-figure monthly earners in almost every network marketing company out there today. In some of the companies, there are multiple six-figure monthly earners. So what's the difference? What differentiates the dabblers, the part-timers, the people that are trying the business from those people that go on to make millions in our profession? Let's talk about that. You know, I've been fortunate over the past few years to get to know personally some of the top earners in our field, and many of them have become my closest personal friends. And as I dig deeper and ask questions and really learn from these individuals, one of the things I've learned is that almost all of them have been with their companies for 5 years or more, very few exceptions. And some of them didn't get off to a fast start. The third thing I've observed is that most of them have personally signed up over 100 people into their business. Some of them as many as 500 people into their business. Now, I don't want this to scare you. I'm talking about the people that are playing at the highest possible levels. If you want to earn an extra couple $1,000 a month, you know, you don't need to play at this level. I'm talking about those individuals that want to make millions of dollars in the field of network marketing. The top earners in our field have personally signed up somewhere between 100 and 500 people, which sounds intimidating, but when you break it down and you figure out, you know, they've been with their companies for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, it comes out to somewhere between 2 and 4 new personally sponsored distributors per month. That can be done on a part-time basis. They've been with their companies for years and they've signed up consistently 2 to 5 new people, 2 to 4 new people every single month for 5 years, 6 years. That puts them in the range of 100 to 500 new personally sponsored distributors. As I mentioned, many of them didn't get off to a fast start. And you know what else I learned? 95% of their income is coming from 1 to 5 organizations. So they may have sponsored 150 people or 200 people, but the bulk of their income is just coming from a couple of people. Now, that doesn't make network marketing bad. In the field of real estate, if you're a real estate broker, you'll find out you'll need to personally recruit somewhere between 100 and 200 agents to find a couple, 3 that are going to be your big earners, the ones that are going to produce $100,000 or more in income. For those of you that want to earn millions of dollars in the field of network marketing, and again, that's not all of you, but those of you that want to play at that level, you'll need to be prepared to be with your company for 5 years or more. You'll also need to be prepared to personally sign up 100 distributors or more into your business. That may mean sponsoring 2 to 4 new distributors per month. You'll also find out, as you've been with your company, that most of your income is going to come from a couple of key organizations in your business. That's the profile of the top earner in our business. So if you're one of those individuals and you're not somebody who's just trying the business, you're not a dabbler, you want to play at the highest possible level, you want to achieve the big income in network marketing, those are some things, some observations that you need to keep in mind in building your business. This is Jordan coming to you from the mountains of Nevada, and we'll see you on the beach.
All right. Wow, that was powerful. Thank you so much, Mr. Bree Clemens, for playing that. Hey, also, Mr. Bill Bailey just joined us, superstar down in San Diego. That guy's always putting apps in every week. Amazing guy. Mr. Chris McDonald, thank you for joining us. Mr. Oh my God, Hussein Ismail. Wow, RD. Man, he's at one of his stores watching us today live. I love it. Oh, another regional director I got to give homage to is doing international business. Mr. Herrera, thank you so much. Irvin Herrera, thank you so much for joining us. Guys over in Mexico as well as Colombia doing an awesome job. Thank you, sir, and also does Spanish calls for us. TJ in Ohio, thank you for joining us. Pat Robinson in Oakland, thank you. Miss Perla Banana, she's in the surgery room watching us. Wow. I'd like to say also regional directors that jumped on here a few minutes ago. Chris King and Miss Rose Guerrero, thank you so much. Miss Eileen in San Diego, thank you. And our George Singh down in Fresno, my young whippersnapper. Sir, good seeing you on the call today. All right, without further ado, everybody, I'm gonna, without further ado, I want to introduce my dear friend. He has a home here on the Strip, one of the penthouses on the Strip. He has a house up in Mount Charleston here where we broadcast, or I've been up there a couple of weeks ago having a barbecue on a Sunday after church, and also has a place in Jerome, Arizona. So he's got a couple places to run to, and also as a pilot, has a helicopter. He just, well, let's say this, it just got a little scuffed up, and he's no longer flying that one, but, and he also had bought a trip with this young man here you probably recognize, and he bought a flight. As a matter of fact, I'll talk about that. Who's that? Oh yeah. You know what that is? Yes. Mr. Richard Branson himself. Without further ado, my dear friend, #1 MLMer in his own company. Without further ado, the great Mr. Jordan Allen. Thank you, sir. Where are you?
Up, Al. How you doing, man? Nice to see everybody.
Oh, there you are. Good to see you, buddy.
Great to hear
your name on here.
Great to hear you shouting people out from all over the world. I love it.
Yes, sir. International call always.
Yeah. How you been, Al?
I've been great. How you doing down there? Were you in Jerome?
I'm in Jerome, up in the mountains in Arizona, old ghost town. You haven't been up here, have you?
No, not the ghost town. No.
Yeah, it's
I've seen plenty of pictures.
A town that was built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was a mining town, and for about 60 years it was abandoned. It's a little storybook town now. There's about 500 residents. It's a really cool little old town, historic town.
I love it.
Yeah.
What? Tell everybody why you decided to buy that. Was that 12, 14 years ago or 20 years ago? How long ago was it?
20 years ago, and I was with Excel at the time. You know, with you, the last company we were involved with, and you know, I used to come up here and explore. Back, you know, I'd come up here when it was a ghost town. There were no street lights, dirt streets, and it was really a ghost town. It was an abandoned ghost town, and we used to come up here and explore. And then, you know, people started moving up here, artists and musicians, and it was a real interesting, quirky place. And I just thought it would be a really great place to have a second residence. So when, you know, around the time that I was looking for something outside the city, I came up here. There were 3 homes for sale, and this wasn't one of them, but the guy that had the home, this is one that I was interested in, and he happened to be a realtor. And I offered him something that I thought was a great deal for me, and he thought it was a great deal for him, and so we ended up doing a deal.
So how often do you get up? How often do you get up there?
During the pandemic, I've been up here for 4 months. I've been pretty much living up here. I'll head back to the mountains of Nevada once in a while, and then the Strip, a couple days here and there. But for the most part, I've been staying here. It's been nice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you were just in Vegas just recently, this past 4th of July for our barbecue with with this gentleman here, Mr. Eric Worre.
I was there. Yes, it was a good time.
Yeah,
great fireworks display from the mountain, man.
Oh yeah, from my house, we just looked all the way down with the Strip, and there was more going on in people's areas than it was on the Strip itself.
It was pretty nuts. I've never seen it. I don't think in my lifetime have I ever seen that many fireworks in a city.
Yeah,
and I think that was going on pretty much across the country.
Yeah, it was more in the communities than it was at the big major hotels than anything. It was just a blessing.
Yeah.
So tell I want you to go from the aspect to tell people some of the struggles you had to go through before you start making a large, before you start making a six figure.
So funny. Back before I'd ever made a penny in network marketing, I was involved. I talked about this the last time we got together. I was involved in 11 companies in 10 years and never signed up a single person. And did I talk about Peabody, Massachusetts and the snowstorm on the last one?
No.
Okay.
Tell that.
So I'd never signed up a distributor in any company. I'd been in 11 companies in 10 years. Finally got involved with this company, finally figured out how to give a presentation, how to set up an appointment. And I started, are you still with me? Can you hear me? Al, you froze up on me.
You're good.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I lost Al there for a second. All right. So I finally figured out how to give a presentation and sign up some people. And so I started doing presentations at a little coffee place on Mill Avenue called Coffee Plantation at the Arizona State University campus. And I signed up a guy who signed up another guy in Peabody, Massachusetts. And that little team out there started doing home meetings, and they built their team to about 40 people. So it's my first group in, 11 years in network, 10, 11 years in network marketing. I finally got a group in Peabody, Massachusetts. And they asked me to come out and do a presentation for them. And I didn't have any money. My credit cards were maxed out. I had 22 credit cards. I actually was bouncing checks at First Interstate Bank on Mill Avenue. They invited me out. So I had pass benefits because I worked for the airline. And and they were going to let me stay with them. So I didn't have to spend a lot of money, but I did need to rent a car. Well, I rented a car. I flew out there. It was a massive blizzard going on. I don't know if you remember this story, Al. And it took me 2.5 hours to get from the airport to their home in a blizzard. And it was a 20-minute drive. But because of the blizzard, there were trucks in the ditches and it was horrible, complete whiteout. I get to the home and all the lights are out in the home. This is after I came across the country. I got no money. They've got a little team. My first team in network marketing is growing. They've got a little bit of stuff going on in the group. I'm standing on the doorstep in a blizzard. Wind's blowing sideways. There's drifts up to the eaves of the home and there's nobody there. I'm ringing the doorbell. There's nobody there. So I make my way and I find one of those pay phones because we didn't have cell phones back then. I find a pay phone and I call them and their answering machine comes on and I leave them a message and it's freezing and I call them again and an answering machine comes on. That whole team quit on me. So my first team, 40 people from one guy that started, they quit because we were having some problems with our technology back then. And so I went and found a Motel 6 or whatever it was back then. It might have been a Motel 6, I can't remember, but it was a very cheap hotel room. Spent the night, got a flight back, went back to Arizona. And I remember standing on that doorstep thinking to myself, and this was, by the way, after I met you, Al, because we met in San Francisco around a table. It's the first time I'd ever met you at dinner. And then this blizzard hit and all this stuff happened. And I remembered you and Paul and Russ and Mary and Meg and Jay. And I can remember being around the table thinking to myself, if these people are making tens of thousands of dollars a month with this company, this is the first time, it was the first time in my network marketing career that I decided I'm not going to quit when things get tough. Because things got tough. Like it was like all of a sudden my whole world collapsed. Everything that I'd been dreaming about was starting to happen. And then it collapsed again. And every other time something good would happen, something bad would happen, I would quit. And this time I decided not to quit. Now here's a funny part of the story. You probably, some of you guys probably know who Mark Yarnell is. Mark Yarnell wrote Your First Year in Network Marketing. Great book, phenomenal book. And you can still get it. You can still buy it. I would recommend getting it and reading it. It's got some great lessons in it. But Mark, before that book was written, Mark had heard about my story, and he had one of his people call me. He was in Switzerland. The guy was probably at the time, the top earner in New Skin. But he was writing a book called Your First Year in Network Marketing. He was looking for stories. And so I sent him the story that I just told you. He wanted to know what's your greatest obstacle that you've had to overcome in your network marketing career. And at that time, that was my greatest obstacle. And so I sent him the story, and I forgot, because I really didn't know Mark that well. The book wasn't written yet. I didn't know him, but I did send the story. About a year and a half later, I get a message from one of my team members saying, "Hey, Jordan, I just picked up the book that you're in at the bookstore." Now, I've never been, at that point, I've been in over 100 books. I'm in over 100 books now, but back then I'd never been in a book. That was the first book that I ever got asked to be put in, but I'd forgotten that I'd submitted the story because it was a year and a half prior. And this woman tells me that she picked up the book at the bookstore that has my story in it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I realized, and I went down to the bookstore, and sure enough, there was the book. And I think I'm on page 78, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, but I think it's page 78. Just like 2 or 3 pages. And it's a story about Tom Alderink out of Peabody, Massachusetts, and the snowstorm and how they all quit. And I never heard from the guy again. He never returned my calls. I could never get a hold of him again. To this day, that was back in the 90s. To this day, I've never talked to the guy, but now his story's in this book. So I signed the book and I mailed it to him, told him he was famous. I know he got the book because it never came back to me, but I just autographed it for him and told him it was famous. That was like, probably 5 years after that incident happened. But you know what? Any successful network marketer has a long list of things of troubles and difficulties that they went through to get to where they are. Most people, and this is the reason why most people don't make it, most people, when they have challenges, big challenges, which you're going to have big challenges if you have a big team. You are. And when those challenges come, most people quit. They go looking for another company. They, get discouraged. They decide they're never going to do it again. They start blaming everybody else for it. Blaming the company, blaming the founders, blaming the market, blaming their compensation plan. Instead of saying, you know what? I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to stay focused on my dreams. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. And what happens is when you do that over a period of time, that sends a message to everyone in your life that you're not a quitter, that you're a leader. Leaders lead. So think about this in a horse race. If you think about it, the horse that is out front is the horse that goes first, is the horse that leads. Leaders go first. Leaders don't wait for everybody else to do it. Leaders are the first ones to do whatever you want your team to do, you have to be the first to do it. So you want to be out front and you want to set the example. The speed of the leader does determine the speed of the pack. And so you want to be that person. So think about it this way. Most people, when they're trying to figure out whether they're going to be part of a company, they look at the track record of the company. I want to throw this out to you guys. Think about this. What if your company's success, and I know your company well, and I've known Al for years, and I love your company. What if your company's success was largely determined by your efforts and your energy? Meaning that the team that you build is largely responsible for the success of your company, not the other way around. Not the company's responsible for your success, but you're responsible for the success of the company. Now, I'm not, our company, I'm just it doesn't really matter, any company. If the future of your company is going to be built on the customer base that comes in from here on out, all right, from here on into the future. And that's your business. So you be the cause of the growth of your company. You be the cause of the success of your company. And ultimately what that means is it's going to grow your check as well.
That's a good observation. Hey, I noticed we have the same, like minds think alike. I see we have the same kind of shirt on this morning. Same- that book by Mark Yardell, The First Year.
Nordstrom's, Al.
You do like I buy. That book, Your First Year in Network Marketing. I think I was in that one or the second one, your second year in network marketing. I got my name in there as a blimp, so I barely got in that one. But you were said over 100. I'm like, I got in about 8 books or 9 books. Anyway, hey, I love the idea, and I'm going to kind of reiterate this a little bit that you said, and I want everybody to understand what he talked about. Peabody, Massachusetts. He said home meetings. The same thing he built this business. We could do it through Zooms. And another thing that was really important, he says, don't, he decided not to quit in San Francisco. Have you guys decided not to quit? That's important. Mr. Jordan, tell them some of the other ups and downs you may have had to become on the bumps you went through on the road to success, as you have exquisitely showed us now that it's possible. And I don't know why people just don't believe it, but they have to see it to believe it. But give us some more of the hiccups you went through on your road.
Well, you experienced it as well. It was like the fall of the Roman Empire with when our last company went down, right? I mean, the rumors that were flying, people were, and we were $1 billion network marketing company, and it had millions, over 2 million distributors, and the technology, our technology changed, and we weren't in a position to respond to it quick enough. And, I had 20,000, I was living a pretty good life, and I had $20,000 a month in overhead. And then just like you, Al, our cash flow went away when the company closed its doors. And it was kind of a surprise, but kind of not. I mean, we saw the writing on the wall, but at the same time, it was still there, but we did see the writing on the wall. And I can remember being in a seminar. It turns out this seminar, it changed my life because of one thing that two things actually, that the guy on the stage said. But when I was at that seminar, I got a text message from Phil Mims saying it's over. And I go, question mark, question mark. And he said, the company's over. No more checks. And I mean, I was making at that time, I don't remember, maybe 50,000 a month, but I went between 20,000 a month and 80,000 a month for years, just like you. You actually made more than I did with that company. And I was getting a very nice residual check, but I had $20,000 a month in overhead. So I had some savings, and I had some real estate that I'd purchased that had some equity. But when the company went away, I was bleeding by about $20,000 a month. So I sold my cars. I bought a little Mini Cooper. I rented out this place up here in the mountains. It's a 4-bedroom home on like a tree house on the side of a mountain. I rented this place out. And I was trying to lower my expenses to where I could get myself to where I'm only going through $8,000 a month instead of $20,000 a month, because then I had some time, And so until I found what I was going to do next. And I just remember at that seminar in LA, when I got that text message, there's 2 things that the person on the stage said that really changed my life. And the one biggest one was that if you want to predict the future of someone's income, look at someone's calendar, and you can predict their future. So here's what was going on. And I got a few little stories around this. Yeah. So I went, I've been telling people for 10 years that I'm going to the Virgin Islands. I've been telling people that story. I'm going to the Virgin Islands. But in 10 years, I never went to the Virgin Islands. I was just telling people I was going to go, and I was truly planning on going, but I just never did it. And the guy on the stage says, it's not real unless it's on your calendar. It's not real. Your dreams are not real unless they're on your calendar. This changed my life. This changed everything for me. This one thing that he said, because it's the first time I started writing my dreams on my calendar. And what happens is when you put it on your calendar, all of a sudden you start thinking about, how am I going to get there? Who am I going to be with? How long am I going to stay? Where am I going to stay? All those kinds of things. So I wrote on my calendar at that thing, October, I think it was October 2nd through October 11th, and I blocked it off Virgin Islands. And guess where I went? And I've been to the Virgin Islands now at least 10 times since then. But at that seminar, that was the thing that changed for me. Now, I've done this with writing my beach money books. I've done it with learning to fly helicopters. I've done it with purchasing a helicopter. I've done it with my Virgin Galactic civilian space program, all these things. I put stuff on my calendar now. even when I don't believe it's possible. If it's a dream, it goes on my calendar, because as soon as you put it on your calendar, all the planets align. You start,
That's right.
Your subconscious mind goes to work to try and figure out all the little intricacies necessary to take you there. Now, do you always get there on that date? No. But when it's on your calendar, it's a target, and your subconscious mind, while you're sleeping, is multidimensional, and it will work hard to get you what you want. It's just like the reason we have eyebrows. Al's got a little bit of eyebrows there, I see, just a little bit. But the reason we have eyebrows is because when we sweat, the eyebrows keep the sweat from getting in our eyes. That's why I have eyebrows and eyelashes. It keeps the dust and the sweat from getting in our eyes, right? And some of you, that's why you have hair, right? So the reason we have a subconscious mind is because human beings, we think linearly. I'm not saying that right.
Close enough.
Yeah, we think in like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and rarely does our life work that way. So when we set a target or a goal or a dream, I like to call them dreams because dreams are inspiring. Goals can be kind of boring. Dreams are inspiring. So when I set a dream out there in the future, and I go step by step, here's how I'm going to get there, rarely does it happen that way. I'll tell you a story, another story here to kind of explain this, but rarely does it happen in a linear fashion. It's a multidimensional thing. So just like your eyebrows keep dust and sweat out of your eyes, your subconscious brain is designed to solve problems. That's why when you go to sleep at night, our brain is going to work. That's why we sometimes remember our dreams. Our brain is working in a multidimensional way to try and solve our problems. Nightmares are just an example of our brain trying to solve a problem in a way that we as conscious human beings can't do. So when you put a dream on your calendar, it starts a chain of events that are going to happen as a result of you putting it on your calendar. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this. So when I was in high school and I would sit at home and watch the Academy Awards with my parents every year, I'm not a producer. I'm not an actor. I've never had an aspiration to act. But every time I'd watch the Academy Awards, I'd think to myself, it would be so cool to walk the red carpet at the Academy Awards with the famous movie stars. And I'm not a movie star. You know, I lived in the south suburbs of Chicago. My dad made $28,000 a year. I'd never been to Hollywood, didn't know anybody in Hollywood. But when I got a little older, I actually wrote it. I was in my 20s and I wrote it onto a dream list. Now, I never put it on my calendar, but it was on my dream list and I knew it was there. And years later, I was with the company that I've made $8 million with, the one where I met Al. I was with that company and I was at Bally's. I wasn't living in Vegas at the time, and I was at Bally's Resort. And after an event, a woman was sitting in the lounge with a group of people, and I was there, and I met her. Her name was Gwen Field. And we started talking, and she's in a network marketing company, and I asked her, in fact, her daughter, some of you will know this, some of you won't, but Robbie Williams is the most successful musical artist in the history of Europe. Robbie Williams. A lot of Americans have never heard of him. But Gwen's daughter is married to him, Ida. So I'm meeting with Gwen. It's the first time I met Gwen. I'm at the Bally's many, many years ago. And in our conversation, I find out that she's a voting member of the Academy Awards. Now, I didn't mention anything about my goal. This was years ago. I didn't even mention it, but she's talking about it. That means that she's able to sometimes go to the Academy Awards. And so we ended up becoming friends. I stayed in touch with her for 2 years. We were good friends. We'd get together. We'd do things together. And one day she calls me and says, Jordan, how'd you like me to get us in the lottery to go to the Academy Awards? Now, that's not walking the red carpet. That's just going to the Academy Awards. Only the few thousand people that are famous, the producers and all that, get to walk the red carpet. Millions of people want to walk the red carpet, but there's only a few thousand that get to do it. And so I said, yeah, put me in, put us in. And so she puts us in the lottery for the Academy Awards the next year. And we didn't get picked. She calls me a month later and says, sorry, Jordan, we didn't get picked. And I wasn't even bummed out about it. I didn't really expect anything at that point. But I was then in Atlanta. This is crazy. At this point, I'm with the company that I'm with now, and I'm in Atlanta. And so the Academy Awards I'm there, it's Friday. Academy Awards is on Sunday. I'm in Atlanta. I don't even own a tux at this point. Don't even own one. And my phone rings on Friday night, and it's Gwen, and I show it to our founder. I said, she's calling to invite me to the Academy Awards on Saturday night, on Sunday afternoon, rather. And so I answer, hey, Gwen. Hey, Jordan. Gwen says, Jordan, one of the famous celebrities, I don't know who, canceled, and we got a slot to go to the Academy Awards. Can you get there? Now, I'm teaching all day on Saturday. The Academy Awards is on Sunday. So I said, I don't know. I don't even have a tux, because you have to wear a tux there. So there was a guy that measured me for a tux, measured me for custom clothes 2 years prior in Las Vegas. Hadn't talked to him in 2 years. I called him in Vegas that night. I said, can you make me a tux and have it in LA by Sunday morning? He got with his son. They made me a tux. They got the shoes, the tie, the shirt, everything. He drove it from Vegas to Los Angeles and put it in a hotel room for me in Los Angeles. Then I got a night flight on Delta Saturday night after training all day on Saturday, got me in at 6:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. They picked me up in a limo, took me to Robbie Williams' home next to Paris Hilton in Hollywood. I'm sitting next to Robbie Williams for a few hours, and then they take us, we have lunch, and then they take us to the Academy Awards. They drop us off. And because we were picked as an alternate for a famous person who we never found out who it was, not only did we walk the red carpet with Scarlett Johansson and Russell Brand and Jesse Eisenberg and Wolfgang Puck, Sharon Stone. I got to meet James Cameron. I got to meet all these people, and I'm hanging out with them on the red carpet, party at. And then when we get in there, we're in the third row at the Academy Awards. And I had written this as a goal back when I was like in my 20s. It's your subconscious mind works to move you towards your dreams, not goals, dreams. That's a long story, I know, Al, but I had to tell it.
No, that's a great story, because the moral of it is write them down. I've been telling people that forever. You know, it's amazing. As much as I do this to talk about it, I even showed my last 33 years of goal books as far as my written down goals of 33 years. Been over 33 years, and it's amazing how people get and won't do it, but it works. And
it works.
And I love to hear somebody else tell stories like that.
You know, keep it simple too. Like what I tell people is write down 3 things every year. This is what I do. Every year I write down 3 things that I don't think are possible. I write them down and I just keep them in a journal, or I put them somewhere. I've got actually a whiteboard at my place in Arizona. So like I wrote down, become a licensed helicopter pilot. And when I wrote that down, I didn't believe it was possible really for me. And then I put it on my calendar. Yeah. So.
But the whole idea is write it down.
Right. That's the key. That is the key. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So now that you write things down, and so many things come years later, and sometimes people don't understand success does not come overnight. Will you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's an investment in your education, and it's an investment in time, and it's an investment in energy. And you have to make your decisions based on what you're committed to every day. Now, this is not a lofty long-term thing. This is an everyday thing. You have to make your decisions not based on how you're feeling, but based on what you're committed to. You have to make them based on what your commitment is. So I was backstage at an event where I was getting ready to speak in front of 8,000 people at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And they were introducing me. I had my suit on. I was all wired up. Eric and Marina Worre from GoPro were there. And it's dark backstage. If you've ever been backstage at one of those big events, it's dark and the bright lights are out front, but behind stage it's dark. And I remember standing there, and my dad had been sick for a while, and my phone was in my suit pocket, and it vibrated literally while I was being introduced. I was standing at the bottom of the steps, ready to walk up the steps to walk on stage in front of 8,000 people. My phone rang, and I pulled it out, and it was my sister from Chicago saying, "Dad's gonna die tonight." This was literally 2 minutes before walking on stage in front of 8,000 people. And I remember breaking down. Eric and Marina were there. They saw me. It all happened in a matter of like moments. They came over and, "Are you okay?" They gave me a hug as I'm being introduced. The crowd is clapping now, waiting for me to walk on the stage. And in that moment, I knew that I wasn't going to get back to Chicago that night. It was a Friday night. in that moment, I had to decide. I remembered it came to me so like a flash. It was like, I need to do this based on my commitment. I'm committed to be on that stage for the next 20 minutes. As difficult as it was, I could have said, Eric and Marina, I can't do this. I'm going home. I got to take care of business. And they would have gone on stage and explained, and everybody would have been fine. But I made a commitment to be on that stage for 20 minutes. And so I followed through on that commitment. And you know what? I went home and I booked flights, and my dad was around for a couple more weeks. So I got a chance, and he was fully coherent. So I got a chance to spend time with him. It worked out fine. But it was that I've taught this and I've done this as much as possible in my life. And I think that's one of the reasons why every single week I get referrals from people that are ready to sign up. I don't need to sell. I don't need to do much marketing, very little marketing. I just have people calling me saying I'm ready to sign up. And a lot of that has to do with because I'm true. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. To myself,
in other words,
too. Myself, not just other people. But when you say you're going to do something, if you say you're going to give one presentation a day or 3 presentations a day, have integrity with yourself and actually do it. And if you don't do it because you didn't get an appointment that day or somebody canceled, make it up. Make it up the next day or the day after. Hold yourself accountable. The same way as you would hold yourself accountable to one of your kids. Because it's as important to hold yourself accountable to yourself. And most people don't. Most people say they're going to do something, and you wonder why so few people make it big in the business. Most people say they're going to do something, they say it to themselves, and then they never do it. They don't follow through on their commitments to themselves. So that was a big moment for me. And you know, I said a little prayer. I went up on stage. I did my thing. I don't remember what I talked about. Went home and got to spend time with my father. And it was fine. Everything was fine.
You know, I'm sitting there taking a bunch of notes as you're going through this. I was going to regurgitate a few things. You know, one was make a commitment. And I got, that's one of the attributes of a good leader's commitment. Be a person of your word, number 2. Number 3 is integrity, which people, well, anyway, and hold your own self accountable. Thank you. My God. You know, if you were a brand new person in network marketing, what would you tell a new person that just got started, never have any background in network marketing, just got into our industry? What kind of advice would you give that person?
Well, first of all, a couple things. One is I would say, make sure you commit at least a few minutes every day to your personal development. Reading books that are written by successful network marketers, especially if you've been in network marketing for a while or you've never been in network marketing, you're getting started. Either way, you want to have a daily, I have books everywhere that I'm picking up constantly and reading a few pages. Some of them are network marketing. Some of them are biographies from successful people. Some of them are just fiction, but I do have books, personal development, and I'm listening all the time to personal development. I try and spend more time listening to my personal development in terms of business than I do the news. It's tough though with social media today. It used to be, there you go, Al, love it. It used to be that you could shut off the news and you wouldn't get, but you're constantly being bombarded every time you jump on your computer or open up your phone, notifications we get, and it's really tough, but you want to make it a discipline. The second thing is there's a system. Al and Al's upline and Al's downline, you guys have a system. The company has a system. The leaders in your company have a system. Follow that. It's like trying to bake a cake and leaving an ingredient out and expect the cake to be a cake. If you try and do it on your own, that's what you're doing. Just like if I give Al a phone number to call and I say, Al, when you call this phone number, the person on the other end is going to make you successful. And there's a 100% chance you're going to be successful, but you got to call this phone number. It's a long distance number. Al calls the number and he gets a fast busy signal. And he tries it again. He gets a fast busy signal. He tries it again. He gets a fast busy signal. And he calls me. He says, Jordan, I've been calling this number. And you said that when I call this number, the person that's going to pick up is going to guarantee my success. I said, I said, well, read the number to me. And he does. And I said, yeah, that's the number. The only problem is 2 of the numbers are switched around. You get the right number. You get 2 of them are switched around. Well, the number didn't go through. Why? Because he didn't follow the system. He didn't follow the system. So there was the person on the other end that was going to make sure that he's successful couldn't do his job. So you got to follow the system. And then the last thing that I want to say, and this came from Kenny Trout, the founder, who's a billionaire today, who's the founder of our last company. You got to see the job through. You got to see the job through. So I'm giving you a lot, like have your dreams out in front of you, be consistent, follow the system, see the job through. Don't quit till it's done. Make your decisions based on your commitment, not on your emotion, because our emotions go up and down. There'll be a lot of days, as many as half your days or more, you're not going to want to do your business. But you don't want to give yourself a choice when it comes to that. If you want your dreams, you don't want to give yourself a choice of being, you talk about, Al, you talk about fire yourself and then rehire yourself. It's the same thing. I can't even tell you how many hundreds of times I've fired myself and then rehired myself. Never let crisis turn into ruin. Never let crisis turn into ruin. There will be crisis, but never let it ruin you. Wow.
My friend, wow, that's a lot. Let's say this. I love it because it's regurgitating things that we all know. Yeah. And I'm glad that you took time out to pour into people in our industry as a whole, what they need to do to be successful. And it's the same story over and over from different leaders said differently. And to the respect that you have, it's just that if people would just take these things and run with it. Talk about this, just a little bit of, you got people in your group that's uncoachable. How do you deal with people that when you try to coach them and they don't listen? What do you?
Well,
let's see what you got to say about that.
I look for three things in people. They're texting me. This is how I decide whether I'm going to work with someone. They're texting me, they're showing up, and they're doing something. They're texting me, they're showing up, and they're doing something. Texting me means they're texting me with questions, texting me to set up time with me to do a Zoom conference with them, texting me to tell me how excited they are because they just signed up a new person. That's one thing. The second thing they have to do is they have to show up. And that means they're on the conference, the Zooms. They're on the Zooms every week. They're participating. The third thing is they have to do something. The people that I want to work with are the ones that even though they know they could fail and even though they know that they don't know exactly what to do, they're out doing it anyway. They're newer. So when they do those three things, that means I've got somebody. I got this new guy. This is so awesome. I got this new guy named Kyle that he signed up with me about 5 years ago. And then he's got a window washing company up in Canada. And the guy, it almost to the point where it drives me crazy because he's texting me 10 times a day, but it's texting me to tell me how excited he is because he just gave a presentation and the person's excited. And can you set up a Zoom with me? He's like doing 3 today. He's been texting me all morning and it's only 10 o'clock. And every day. He's only been in a couple weeks, but I'm setting up Zooms with him and his new people all the time. Yesterday we did one, and check this out. He's still meeting with people in person at coffee shops and things like that. And they're doing their social distancing and all that. But he met with a guy that wasn't interested in the business, but he did the whole presentation. And the person the woman who owns a horse saddle reconditioning restoration company. She was at another table in the restaurant and she overheard him. And as he got up and was getting ready to leave, she came over to him and says, "I need what you have." And so he did a presentation for her. And then we did a Zoom with her yesterday. And her husband's a general contractor and they're so excited about the business. And that was a result of a guy that she didn't bring into the business, but the person at the restaurant overheard him.
Wow.
So I don't even remember what the question was. What were you talking about, Al? Oh, wow. What would you do in person? Yeah. So looking for those three things. Three things. That's how I know whether I'm going to work with somebody or not. If they start giving me excuses, I'll take one excuse one time, but that's it. And then I'm straight with them. I'm real direct with people. Not in a mean way. I'm not mean about it, but I'm direct. I'll say stuff like, when you are more committed to your dreams than you are your excuses, let's talk.
I think you're not the only one direct. I'm saying I'm bluntly direct with my people. You know, they've got backbone and posture. See, that's what we go through after years of understanding people, and people don't understand. We're not trying to be mean. We just don't have time to play with you. You know, when you're serious, call us. Let's get busy with it. Yeah,
on your best week, you'll be able to work with 5 people. Like really work with them. Really work with them. 5 people on your best week. Like a guy like Kyle, I could only handle like 3 of him in any given week. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying he's keeping me busy. So you have to be really discriminate, even if you're brand new, over who you work with. Now, if you don't have anybody like that, like some of you are saying to yourself, well, I don't have anybody that's calling me, that's showing up, that's doing something. Some of you are thinking that. So what do you got to do then? You got to start putting 1 to 3 appointments on your calendar every day to show your business until you find somebody like that. You know, Steve Smith, one of the best things he ever said to me, Al, was stop trying to turn people into you. Stop chasing people. Instead, go find people better than you. Go find people that want this more than you do. And the only way to find those people is to show it to a lot of people. Yep. So I figured out, I don't know if you saw this message, Al. I should send it to you. Did you see the message about my numbers, my total numbers since I've been in network marketing or in my company? So I've shown the business, I figured it out, an average of 1 a day for 15 years, which is about 4,500 presentations. 4,500 presentations in 15 years. Here, I should probably, you know what, I'm going to just do it off the top of my head. So I've signed up 500. So if you figure that out, that's 1 in 9. So I've given, for every 9 presentations I give, I sign up 1 new distributor. And so I've signed up 500. And out of those 500, I've got 8, maybe, that are responsible for 250,000 distributors and 600,000 customers. And I've made, in the company I'm with now, I've made $16 million. 16 million. So if you figure that out, every presentation I get, even the ones that say no, it comes out to $3,700. Even the ones that say no. If I show it to somebody and they say no, that's $3,700, because when you take 16 million and divide it by 4,500 presentations, it comes out to like $3,700 per presentation. So 4,500 presentations, 500 new distributors, that's 1 out of 9. And out of the 500 that I've signed up, there's about 8 that are responsible for the majority of my business and continue to be. So what do you learn from that? Consistency, longevity, power in the numbers. Got way more no's than I did yeses. So I got 4,000 no's. 4,000 people I showed it to didn't sign up. So if you've shown it to 10 people or 15 people and they didn't sign up, I have no sympathy for you. I got 4,000 on you.
I love it. I love it. You know, I don't think, thank you, Mr. Lewis. Mr. Julian Lewis just texted me. He says, he don't think a lot of people got what you just said. That's how powerful it was. You know, which was very powerful. I took notes on that. Out of all of this, all that boiled down to 8 IBOs. Out of all those people, and out of the 8 IBOs come 250,000 IBOs or distributors, excuse me, with over 600,000 customers. Right. And people don't understand it's the large numbers, and because of that, you made $16 million in your present company. That's $3,700 a person
per presentation. $3,700 per presentation.
$37 per presentation.
Right.
I love it.
So think about this. You know, let's say you wanted to start a vending machine company. Why would somebody start a vending machine company? Well, they want to have residual income. They want people putting money into the machines for product, right, that they put in there so that they can have machines everywhere. You can't make money on one machine. So you got to get a lot of machines. And a machine is going to cost you $3,000 to $5,000 for one good machine. A used machine, $3,000, $5,000 or more for a good new machine. And so let's say you buy 20 machines. That's a 20 machines times $5,000. That's $100,000. Is that right, Al?
100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, 100,000.
$100,000. Then you got to have somebody to collect the money out of the machines, count the money, right? stock the product, make sure the machine is placed in the right place where people are going to actually buy some product out of the machine, sodas or, candy or whatever it is you're selling out of the machine, toothpaste. You got to have the machines in the right place. And what I love about network marketing is without having to do any maintenance on the machines, without having to stock any product, without having to make sure that the product ever runs out, it's never going to run out of our machines. People are just like, in a sense, every time a new person joins your organization, that's another little money machine. And you might make $5 a month from that money machine. Or you might make $100 a month if they build a little bit of a business. Or you might make $1,000 a month off that one month. And here's the thing. Every time a new person joins your organization, whether you bring them in or somebody else does, that's like adding a vending machine to your network of vending machines. And you didn't have to buy it. You don't have to stock the product. You don't have to make sure the product never runs out. You don't have to, you don't need to worry about the product getting old, getting stale. You don't have to collect the money. So all you need to do is go find the machines. You don't even need to place them in our business. They'll place themselves.
And not only that, you don't have to split it with the owner of the establishment, because the vending machines, you got to split the profits with the guy who owns the business.
That's right. That's right.
I like that analogy, and I hope everybody caught that. That was powerful. That was very powerful.
Thank you. Hey, by the way, Al is in my first book, Beach Money. There's a whole chapter on Al Thomas in my book, Beach Money, the first book. By the way, there's 4 versions of Beach Money out there. Make sure you buy the new version because it's got 4 additional chapters. And the last chapter is called Ask Jordan. And I have like a ton of Q&A in there. And that chapter in and of itself is worth its weight in gold. But if you buy any of the older books, like from resellers or used copies, those books are outdated. They don't have the new chapters in them. And so I would recommend getting the new one. And then and Al's in that book. There's a whole chapter on him in the book.
You have been so instrumental with everything you've done. Hey, buddy, when you come back to Vegas, give me a heads up. We'll have a cigar with me. I've got a couple boxes of Cubans just got in, and how we do like to get together and have a good cigar and a cocktail. So we have to do that.
I love it. Looking forward to it. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed spending a few minutes with you, and hope to see you on the road once things open up.
Thank you. Hey, everybody, before we get off the call, tomorrow morning, Mr. Brian Baker will be our guest speaker. And then tomorrow night at 6:00 p.m., Al's Happy Hour. And I'm going to be going into Al's Happy Hour. We're going to be talking about the 15 lessons that the rich people teach their children. And at our happy hour, bring your cocktail, your libation. Instead, we can't go out per se, but we're having happy hour on here every Friday night at 6:00 p.m. Bring your cocktail, and we're going to have some fun tomorrow night. Mr. Jordan Allen, buddy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for just pouring into people. Thank you for who you are. And, man, I love you. We've been friends. How long have we been knowing each other?
1992.
Wow.
So 28 years.
28 years.
28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We
Folks,
we were half our age back then.
Oh my God. You know what? We've been together. We've been friends. We've always supported each other. We took different directions after Excel. I was number 2 all-time money earner there for many, 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 many years and all time. And you know what? It's just a blessing because you're so humble. And that's one thing that I've always loved about you, your humbleness, your openness, and you're just so sincere. And I want people to understand that's why we've been friends, because he could tell me something, we grow from it, we understand each other, and we may not talk every day, but when we do get together, it's a blessing because he is a true friend, and a true friend is one you could talk to. And like I said, he's pouring into you guys just because I asked him to. He's done great with his book sales. And matter of fact, let me say this. Every dime that comes in to buy his book, he gives it to charity. Every dime he gives it to charity, not his pocket. So just want to let you know, that's the kind of guy you're talking to. And that's why I'm so happy that he took time out of his schedule to be on here for you guys, just to let you know, it's not about the money. He's trying to help you, encourage you to be the best network marketer you can, the best network marketer you can be. So thank you, my friend. God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll talk real soon. All right.
Bye.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow morning. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Oh, wait a minute. Tonight at 6 o'clock, We have a 1 through 10 tonight at 6 o'clock, 1 through 10, right here with a quick fast start training right afterwards. God bless everybody. Talk to you tonight at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.